DJI just announced the Mavic Air 2S. Have you thought about getting a drone? Or are you wondering if this upgrade is worth getting? We've also got 4 embodiments for the Canon RF 35mm f1.2. And did your Canon EOS R5 freeze and lock up during the installation of Firmware 1.3.1? This and more after the intro. Thanks for tuning in to The Ordinary Filmmaker. Subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, gear reviews, or tutorials. And a big thanks to Atomos for sponsoring The Ordinary Filmmaker. I'm using the Ninja 5 external recorder for all my studio work as it really does save me an awful lot of time in post. So if you want to speed up your projects in post, consider using my links down below to purchase your own Ninja. It also helps support the channel. And now for the news. Have you had success updating your Canon EOS R5 with Firmware 1.3.1? Well, I proceeded to update my R5 this morning. Everything went according to plan. I got the complete screen, and that's when it happened. My R5 became completely unresponsive. It looked good. I mean, everything looked great. I looked at the screen and it said the upgrade was complete. So that was at least positive. I didn't risk, bricking the camera. So I tapped the OK button. I tapped the OK button right on the screen as well. I pressed down on the D-pad, and I tried every other button combination like you're trying to enter cheat codes into your PlayStation. I even tried turning the camera off using the switch. Nothing worked. It was completely frozen, locked up, with the screen staring at me like a 6-year-old with a chocolate in his hand going, "What do you want me to do next?" But nothing would work. So I thought of calling Canon. I thought, you know what? I know what they're going to tell me to do. They're going to say, pull the battery. Well, I wasn't using a battery. I was using a dummy battery, so I had a perfect stream of power. So I pulled that, and, well, I got control back. Everything seemed to work. And I checked the menu, and it said Firmware 1.3.1, so I figured everything worked out fine. So I didn't have any other issues. I will reach out to Canon later on today after work and let them know that I had this issue. Now, before I updated my firmware to 1.3.1, I was on firmware 1.3.0. And again, I was using a dummy battery, so I didn't have to worry about it running out of power. I've never encountered this type of issue before when updating a firmware on my Canon cameras. Have you done the upgrade? Did you have any issues? Did you have an issue like mine? Let us know in the comments section down below. DJI just announced a DJI Mavic Air 2S. Now, I've got the first Mavic Pro, and I love how I can capture great aerial shots as though they're shot from a helicopter. And the obstacle avoidance is a huge selling feature, and I can honestly say without it, you're going to crash. Here's the thing, without obstacle avoidance, you're going to crash a lot. It's truly amazing the technology and how easy it is to use. Like my Mavic Pro, the Mavic Air 2S can capture 4K video, but it can do so up to 60 frames per second. Now, it doesn't have those artifacts that my Mavic Pro produces, and it can keep up with fast-moving scenery without any sort of glitching whatsoever. Now, on that 4K video, it's actually 5.4K oversampled 4K UHD. That's pretty impressive. And it has a 1-inch sensor and can shoot up to 20 megapixel stills. It's like having a flying Canon R6. And like the R6, the Air 2S can capture video in 10-bit using log for extra dynamic range. What made the Mavic Pro so easy to fly was its advanced crash avoidance system. DJI has taken the technology and refined it with every new product. The Mavic Air 2S's obstacle avoidance system works in all 4 directions and is smart enough to go around objects instead of just stopping when it encounters something, completely ruining the shot. It makes a huge difference when you're shooting. You're freed up to focus on the scene. An active track locks onto your subject and can follow it. And this is what I love about it too. It can follow it in any way you want. You can track the object from behind. It can rotate around the object. It can pan, and it can do so with up to 12 kilometers in range. And it's just truly amazing. So if you want to pan or rotate or create any of these shots, it can create truly cinematic shots. And you can also fine-tune things. So if you want it to do it a little more smoothly, a little more slowly, you can dial in that cinematic look the way you want. At $999, the Mavic Air 2S is a steal for what it can do. I mean, let's think about this here. This is an aerial 4K camera, a go-anywhere camera for $999. I can't get a full frame camera with lens or with a lens for that price. Well, let me just say, I can't get a 4K full frame camera with a lens for that price. And the price of renting a chopper for a few hours? It's truly amazing what this technology can do and where it is today. But it's not all roses. There are some big concerns and some very severe constraints you need to be aware of before purchasing any drone. Now, flight legislation around the world has gotten tougher since I bought my first Mavic Pro. Because the Mavic Air 2S is over 250 grams, it requires a license to fly in most jurisdictions. Now, I'm licensed to fly in Canada and the United States, but that doesn't mean I get to fly where I want to and when I want to. More often than not, you're going to find out that you're restricted from flying in the places you want to. National parks? Yeah, they're out. Cities, most of the times they're out too. And a lot of the local areas that you want to fly in, you'd be surprised at how close you might be to a local aerodrome. And the last thing you want to do is get arrested or charged on your day out. Moreover, video content sites provide lots of drone footage that you can access for as little as $10 a month. Now, I'm not saying don't get the Mavic Air 2S, just cover yourself. Like I said, there's nothing like getting arrested or fined to ruin your day out. Canon News found a patent for the Canon RF 35mm f1.2 with 4 embodiments. The lens won't be light, and sadly, it's not going to be cheap either. It's not going to be one of those cheap RF glasses. I'd expect it to be similar in cost and weight to the Canon RF 50mm f1.2. Now, let's take a look at the embodiments. Back focus ranges from 16.49 to 20.95 millimeters. The lens focal length ranges from 147.45 to 149.45, and the focal distance ranges from 34 to 35.76, with the f-stop of 1.23 consistent through the embodiments. The RF 35mm f1.2 isn't for me in any of its embodiments. You know what I'm waiting for? The 100mm f2.8 macro that's due to be out in July. I just hope I don't have to wait until the end of July to get it. Hopefully it'll be ready a little bit earlier. I've already got one put aside for me. Well, virtually put aside for me. I don't have that much pull. I don't think anybody has that much pull with Canon. Anyhow, now let's go behind the scenes. In this episode of Behind the Scenes, I've actually got quite a bit to talk to you about. The first item on the agenda is the Spring Challenge, the winner that is. Now, actually, going about and setting up the Spring Challenge, you'd be surprised at how much work that is to do. You might think it might be a lot to create something and submit it. Well, managing a contest and keeping it transparent is an awful lot of work too. So the winner was announced last week, and the winner is One Shot Filmmaker. I've received his information, passed it on to Angelbert, but I forgot to leave out, or I left out some information. I didn't pass on the email address, which they need so they can pass the winner tracking information. So that's supposed to go out tomorrow, and hopefully he'll have it by next Friday, because I've asked One Shot Filmmaker to provide us a short little video about the contest, receiving a prize, and what it's like. So we should have that coming up shortly. And the next item on the agenda, I'm late. Yesterday I put out 3 videos, and the first one was about the Canon EOS R3. Now normally I'm right on top of things. I do check Nakashita before I go to bed, especially when we're in the main camera season like this. And I had to sense, somebody even told me that there was going to be an announcement the following day, but I followed up on that. I followed up on the links to that, and it was for something different. So I thought, okay, went to bed around 11 o'clock. There was nothing from Nakashita that I saw. So I went to bed, and I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning thinking, oh, if I can't sleep, let's check the news. I checked the news, like, oh my God, the R3 is out. We have a development announcement. So I did what anybody would do, not a sane person, but, you know, a YouTuber. I got out of bed, got showered, quickly put something together and put it out. Now, because it was around 15 minutes long, I didn't get that out to you till about 9 o'clock my time, and I missed all the traffic. Normally, give you an idea, when I put out something like this, and I'm one of the first out there, I'm going to be pulling in between 1,000 and 2,000 views per hour. After about 8 hours, I had 2,000 views. Give you an idea. So I'm really kicking myself in the shins for missing that one. It's a little bit frustrating, but you know, you can't always be first. You're not always going to get everything. But my commitment to you and what I try to do is I try to be as timely as I can. Any of the big news, my aim is to get it out to you within 8 hours. Other news, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, depending on how big it is. Like the 50mm that I talked about in this one, the lens embodiments, be honest with each other, I could have waited 7 days for that one and nobody would have gotten upset over it. The last item I want to talk to you about in this behind the scenes is shooting outside. The weather's warming up. I shot a little bit in the winter, and I'm probably going to do some more shooting as the weather starts to warm up. And you know that little spot I like to shoot in the backyard where I'm surrounded by luscious greenery and that Japanese maple with my deck to one side? That location is under construction. Apparently, I had some wood rot. My son was playing on the railing and the whole thing collapsed. And, you know, like any job, I figured, oh, it'll probably take about 4 hours and maybe $100 worth of lumber. Well, once you take one piece off, you realize, oh, the rot went further. Took off another piece, took off another piece before I realized it. A 10-foot long 6x6 piece of lumber needed replacing. And so I'm faced with replacing it. Now, it is quite technical what I have to do because you have to almost take the entire thing apart. It's kind of like replacing a circuit board in the Canon R5. It's not for the light of heart. Now, I do have somebody who's going to help me with this, but we are in a lockdown. All businesses are shut down. Trying to get lumber is very difficult, and lumber is probably going to go for twice the price as normal. Now, for me, needing maybe 5 or 6 pieces of lumber, I'm not too worried about the cost because I don't need a whole lot. But what I am concerned about, how long can I go without shooting in my special location? I'll just have to think of some other different angles, but yeah, I'm a little bit upset over that. Anyhow, that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe. I really do appreciate when you guys subscribe. It helps promote the channel. And if you've already subscribed, great. You have a chance of winning 2 Angel Bird prizes, and I'm going to tell you about those prizes shortly. But if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe for your chance to win 2 Angel Bird 128GB AV Pro MK2 V90 SD cards, along with an Angel Bird Dual UHS-2 card reader. And again, if you're already a member subscribed, you don't have to do anything. Or you could also win a Ulanzi LED light package with accent lights, an underwater light, and various other flat panel lights to help light your subject, or as a starter kit for someone starting their own channel. And if you do want to help support this channel, please do use my affiliate links to B&H and Amazon when you want to pre-order any of the lenses or the R3, or you're thinking about buying any other camera gear. If you normally purchase through B&H and Amazon, what happens is you don't pay any extra, but I get a small 2% kickback, which I then reinvest back into the channel, so that really helps out. Now, if you're not looking at buying any gear and you want to help support the channel, consider buying this Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap. You can buy it at ordinaryfilmmaker.com for $34.99, and there's still plenty left. I think we've sold about 10 of them so far, so thank you for those of you that have bought them. Shipping is taking longer than expected, but that should get corrected next week. I don't know if I told you guys already, but apparently somebody made a mistake in shipping, and instead of sending them out to everybody who bought them, they took the entire shipment and sent it to me. So I got a surprise yesterday, and I immediately said no, because I knew where they were coming from. I said, nope, return to sender. So hopefully by the end of next week, you'll be receiving your hat. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon. Days ago, we're going to have to wait until we're going to have to wait until July before I can purchase that lens. What's with me speaking the way I am today? That might be because it's lunch. What the heck? I'm going to go back and do that.